Okay, so since we're on the topic, let's talk about entrapment, okay? But before we talk about entrapment, I still got something to do, which is run down to that corner, cross the street, and then come up this area, and then go back and do some more sit-ups. So let's talk about entrapment, okay? Entrapment is a term that was created by somebody that's really more so in defense of whoever is actually the person who is committing the crime. Okay, so in defense of, hold on. In defense of hold on. Okay, so in defense of the culprit, the suspected culprit, regardless, whether it's murder, whether it's a sexual crime, all right, whether it's drug dealing, whether it's theft, it doesn't matter what it is, okay? That's what entrapment is, okay? It's a term created to, if you ask me, now it may not be, but it very much could be something that is used as that. Hold on a second. Okay, you always want to have a clear view of whatever. Okay, perfect time. All right. Never let anything come in between you and whoever's job it is you to protect. Okay? First it was the bus, then it was this car. Now is it because they're all working together? Of course not. Of course not. The world is not that fucking scary of a place. But there is something that is known as the perfect storm. And that doesn't mean when everybody agrees to work together with bad guys to help bad guys and bad women accomplish bad things. That means when they're able to predict a perfect storm and take advantage of what other people don't realize that they're doing. Did you see that guy let out a scream? Yeah, he scared the crap out of you, right? Right. You see what I'm saying? What was that? That's called hysteria. Jerky boy working on people's fear for a thrill? Maybe. But think about it like a cop. Maybe that guy's just looking to get more than a thrill. Maybe he's looking to help create a diversion for somebody to get a free MacBook. Or do you think I'm the only person with a MacBook right now in Oakland? Definitely not. Definitely not. There's tons of people. So, for you not to be taken advantage of, you have to level the playing field. You gotta realize you're not the only potential victim out here, and neither am I. There's lots of people that don't want to lose their property. There's lots of people whose property is at risk. There's lots of people that don't want to put their bag down or their purse down, so they're clinging to it like it's their child. Because if they turn their eyes for 1 second, somebody could steal their property like they could steal mine. So, when you're thinking about people that are riding around looking for a quick grab, looking for somebody to finesse, nobody keeps their eyes on one lamb. They're looking for any sheep that they could, strike so that they could scatter, right? And whoever is the first to shit is the first that gets got is the name of the game. Until then, they're aiming aimlessly at anybody. That's how you gotta look at it. Number two, before I even began that, I was talking about entrapment. Now, what is not entrapment is you practicing the art of response. You leaving your bag on purpose, not abandon, but close enough that you can get to it before somebody takes it. And close enough that by the time you get it, right, that it is not entrapment. So to prove that it is not entrapment in the court of law, you have to be able to prove that when you grab it before they do, they won't even get like a hair, they won't even be able to get a strand of it, because you're so fast that you could grab it before they could even lay a fingertip on it. That's what you have to prove in order for a lawyer on the other side to prove that you weren't trying to entrap somebody by doing that. And believe it or not, you abandoning your stuff is not against the law. But you having the ability to take somebody to court in order to press charges for theft, once it becomes beknownst that you consciously left it there, not forgot, not you were preoccupied because you were conversating with somebody, or somebody said, hey, from across the street, I have your paycheck, you left it at work, okay? That's different. That's absent-minded. You actually did forget it, whether it's your bag, your cell phone, your kid, whatever it is, your wife, your wedding ring, whatever it is, then you can press charges if somebody steals it. But if you consciously leave it behind and then run and jog around the block, whether you're doing it because, you know, it's too heavy for you to jog with it and it will hinder your exercise, or because you're trying to practice being a better security guard or get ready for police academy or the military, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You can't press charges on that point. The only time you can actually press charges is if you know exactly what I'm saying and you're able to get back to that bag faster than the other person can do it, and you were not intentionally doing it hoping that somebody would reach for it. You can't hope that. You have to actually, and this is not, I'm not telling you how to do it so you can get away with it or you can loophole anything. I'm telling you what is the law and what is not the law. Okay? Now, is it lawful for you to leave a bag and on the ground in the sidewalk on public property and go jog? Believe it or not, it is actually not abiding by the law. In other words, it is one of the pettiest crimes, but believe it or not, it actually is against the law. And what is it considered? I can't tell you quite for sure, but I can tell you beyond a reasonable doubt that it is either something like littering or something like abandonment, which means, you know, it's abandonment, but what it actually could do is either it could cause trash for the trash man to throw it away, and then when you go and say, hey, that's my bag, it could cause him to get frustrated or her to get frustrated and do a bad job when they have to. It could be confusing, or it can confuse the police. They could think that there's a bomb in it, or maybe drugs or something like that. It could cause them to go from whatever they were doing to helping somebody out that didn't even need help to begin with. So believe it or not, it is against the law. And I don't have to repeat myself. I just said it's against the law. I believe. I'm not absolutely sure, but I believe that it is. I believe it would be considered something like littering. The word is literally called abandonment. But what it chalks up to is littering, and also in between littering and causing hysteria, or really confusion, you know what I mean? Which is, now, would that be confusion on the part of somebody that would say, oh, this is a free grab, so I could just grab it and it's mine because nobody wants it? No, that's not what the courts are arguing on behalf of. It would more so be on the behalf of people whose job it is to keep this sidewalk clean. And even though that's out of the way of anybody walking down, it's not in the direct path of anybody, it still would be considered obstructing justice because, you know, I don't live on the sidewalk, so neither do you. So really, believe it or not, it would either hold up police officers or the garbage collectors or anybody that wants to put their bike there or anything, regardless. So when you do something like that, you have to make sure that you're doing it in regards to all things that are correct. You have being politically correct. So let's just say on an instance, something extenuating circumstance comes up, like not really so much your workout partner couldn't make it, but more so there was an emergency and you had to run down the street and your bag would weigh you down, like a reasonable emergency, something that a judge or a jury would say it's reasonable. Other than that, I mean, nobody's gonna make a mountain out of a molehill. Again, it really more so comes into play when you try to say that the other person, you know, is wrong for trying to steal it, and they would be, but are you suing them for $1 million or 1,000? Because at the end of the day, it's always going to end up in small claims. Okay. Now, what I do want to say is that whenever a storm is actually being created, and what is a storm? A storm, in the eyes of a thief, is a diversion. Okay, it's not an actual storm. It's orchestration. It's orchestrating a charade. So a storm is a charade. Okay, so it's a decoy. It's a diversion. It's where decoys are deployed by somebody who wants to steal something from you or hurt you. Like, for instance, whenever somebody gets killed, like when it's a hit or an assassin assassinating somebody, or somebody that is really a trained criminal, a killer, right? They'll orchestrate a storm or find out where there's a perfect storm where they don't have to orchestrate, because that takes a lot of mental work and a lot of compliance from people who are willing to go to jail for a long time, potentially never get out, or die in the process of doing this. You know, it takes a lot of that. So that's what it is. Now, there's certain things that you're gonna look for in regards to red flags. Okay, number one. Now, those people over there on that corner, they're pretty. I don't know them personally, but they seem like they're not out to harm anybody. Those guys are like missionaries. They're trying to spread the word of God. They don't seem like they're trying to harm anybody. And that black kid with the Pitt University jersey on, he doesn't seem like he's out to harm anybody either, okay? But in the eyes of somebody that wants to steal that bag right there, which those missionaries or those men of God, they don't want anything bad for anybody. That kid right there on a skateboard, he doesn't want anything bad. So I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just using them as an example. So whether it's them or somebody like me, right? Let's say I was, you know, somebody that's a really good thief, right? I would look at that scenario, and then I would look at me across the street, and I would look at this bag, and I would put two and together, and I would figure that the bag is mine, right? Because who else could it be? Everybody else is carrying their bag. They're on their way. Nobody else is staying close, lingering close enough to the bag to get towards it, right? I'm gonna tell you a little psychological trick, okay? I learned this in sales, okay? You learn this when you study sales, okay? Whenever you make somebody feel bad, you can cause them to do something based out of jealousy, envy, or a reason to upstage somebody, or a reason to not be upstaged, right? So for example, right? And this isn't how black on black crime takes place, or how this Willie Lynch did not think of this at all. This did not come from Willie Lynch's playbook, all right? But what they used to do on the plantation is to cause strife between two different slaves. They would reward one, right? So the other one would hate them, and they would bicker amongst each other. And this is how the theory, house nigga, field nigga, was created, right? So let's say you're a working class black man, right? You work in Oakland, or you go to school in Oakland, right? But you would have somebody who's black, who's not working class, who's homeless. Let's say like some of those guys that stand in front of that store, the smoke shop. They don't stand there. They actually sit on the ground and they beg for money. And they have a sign that says, I'm destitute, can you help me? Sometimes they're out in front of the rally house there or over here in front of the old pancake shop, right? And so, right. So if you wanted to cause somebody who's not even asking you for $1 to be in derision, all right? Like you see that guy right there. He obviously has some black in him. He's light-skinned, but he has some black in. But that guy right there, he's obviously a student, and he's either an athlete or he's going places. He's not begging for money. This guy's not begging for money either. He's black, but he's riding a skateboard, and he may go to Pitt, he may not, but he's not asking for money, right? So sometimes, you know, and again, this didn't come from Willie Lynch's playbook, because sometimes you have even gangsters who do this to nerds like me, right? Or academics like me, kids that go to college, right? And they look at us like sellouts and Uncle Toms because we go to school. So they'll invest in the hood nigga that doesn't want to go to school, and they'll pump his head up full of shit like, that nigga, watch that nigga. Yo, whenever he comes back to the hood, be careful, because he might be cool with the police, or he's just trying to make us look bad. He's trying to be the only nigga to get out. He's trying to be better than all of us. He's gonna whatever type shit, right? So you're an entrepreneur. You're a studentpreneur, right? You go to school, you have a job, you work somewhere. You might not be an athlete, but you work somewhere. So whenever you're posted up anywhere on this block, you're either a patron, which is a customer. You either shop at one of these places, or you do like everybody else who goes to school here, which is what? You exercise. Just a minute ago, you saw a black guy running that way. He was exercising. You stand here long enough, you're gonna see a white guy running down the same street exercising. You stand here long enough, you're gonna see a white girl exercising. Somebody Chinese, somebody Arabic, you're gonna see everybody, every religion exercising. And a lot of us go to school here, because if we don't go to school here, we either work in locale or we're just catching a bus getting to wherever we gotta go. Nobody hangs out here unless you either work here or this is where you catch a bus to go somewhere. But it's as simple as this. Whenever your girlfriend wants to get you jealous of her, she pays attention to the guy that you hate to get mad. She might flirt with him. She might blow him a kiss. She might bring him a drink if she's a waiter somewhere. And she's gonna play it off like, no, I'm not giving him special attention. He's just a customer, right? But now let's go back to the scenario. You're just waiting on the bus. You had a hard day, but you already made your quota. You're on your way home with your groceries or whatever money you got in your pocket, which is your quota. So somebody wants to spite you, and they go and they give $20 to a homeless person who they did it not just because he was homeless, but because he's black, right? Right? But any other time during a semester, whenever you ask them, hey, are you interested in being a part of a study group? Hey, what do you do? Hey, did you ever see this missing person that's missing and exploited, or this person that's a murder victim, or you know, anything? When you engage them in a civil manner, as far as what a student would do to another student, or what a resident would do to another resident, they curve you. Which is okay. There's nothing wrong with curving anybody or completely just literally saying, I'm not interested. There's totally nothing wrong with that. But there's a difference between salt in the wound, because this is where it gets back to the point of what I'm saying. When you're talking about sales, that's one thing. It's easy to ignore. All you do is just focus on your target audience. You get that? I said target audience. Why was the saying target audience even invented? It was invented because in order to be a good entrepreneur, you have to focus on people who already want what you have. Whether it's sales or a service, they want what you have. Not people who you can't convince, because you can't make a customer who will never be a customer. That's where target audience came from, which means tunnel vision, which means you got to totally tune out, meaning don't listen to, and you got to hone in, which is your eyeballs. The word hone means use your eyeballs to lock